Hi, my name is Rod Cleef, and I'm the host of the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. And every week I interview multifamily rock stars, and we talk about how they've built incredible wealth for themselves and their families through multifamily properties. So hit the like and subscribe buttons to get notified every Monday when a new episode comes out. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Multifamily Rockstars. And as you guys know, this is where we interview people that are crushing it in this business. And we share the inside scoop into how multifamily investors are creating incredible success in their businesses and also in their lives. And as always, I've got my co-host, who's the director of our massive action team for my Warrior Mentorship Group, Mark Nagy, on the call. Mark, what's up, brother? What's got you excited?
Excellent. Excellent as always, man. Just excited to dive into another juicy interview here with Hector.
Yeah. Well, I know Hector. I'm pretty sure that you spoke with him when he came on. I did. When did you start? Welcome, Hector. Let me start there. Sorry, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, about a year and a half ago.
Good. How are you? Good. How are you guys? Good. Nice to see you.
Good, man. Yeah. So I think you joined the Warrior program like back in July of 2020. But tell us your story, brother. Tell us, who you are, where you came from.
Yes, a little bit about myself. So Hector Hernandez. I was born into a immigrant family. And we actually have and operate two restaurants, very successful restaurants in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And, prior to joining the Warrior program, I feel like I was okay with, the restaurant life and just kind of working open to close every day. Fast forward a couple of years, I got married and had my son. And I feel like having my son really changed my perspective on just kind of what I really wanted out of life, and really, maybe it wasn't so much the restaurant life, but it is the freedom that is brought to you by real estate.
Yeah. Well, I know that I think you're in like 69 units now, and you've got a 30 unit mobile home park under contract. Congratulations on that. We had a little conversation about that before we started recording. So you saw the restaurant business. It's a great business, obviously. I've owned some myself, but it's a very consuming business. I mean, you literally live there, as you know, I'm sure. I mean, you're there from when you open till close. And so I know your little guy now is 2 years old, and that's the reason you realize you needed something that it's, you can back off and spend time with family. And that's what this business does. So I love it. So, I know that you did that with a partner, or you've done some of this with a partner. Talk about, because this business is a team sport. Take a minute and talk about maybe what role you play and what role your partner plays in your partnership to do this. Absolutely.
So as far as for my personal value that I bring to our partnership, I feel like it's finding the deals. I'm big on sending mailers. I've actually sent mailers with a picture of our family on it, and have quite a good success rate. I've experimented quite a bit with different colors of envelopes. And it's funny, the second deal that we came across, he actually sent me a text. He said, "Hey, you sent me the same letter in different envelopes." He says, I want to sell you my property.
Love it.
Yeah. So, it's kind of like you said, Rod, you might not get them at the right time, but you got to hit it with them over and over.
Yeah. Now I know that's in our training program in the Warrior Group. We've got, examples of letters and whatnot. And I know one of the big things I teach is to absolutely put a picture of you and your family, especially with me, because I've got a face for radio, and I throw Tiffy on there. And of course she's gorgeous. And, that absolutely increases your response rate. I noticed something on the wall behind you, brother. Is that your vision board?
It is. Yes, it is my vision board.
I love it. I love it. Guys, here's a guy that listens to what we say, okay? And that is, you've got to know what it is you want with clarity, why you want it, and get pictures. I've got vision boards behind my green screen here that I look at regularly. And so I love seeing that, buddy. That's really cool that you're doing what needs to be done. That's the bottom line, and focused on what you want, not what you don't want. And that's what having these pictures of what you want around you will do for you. So, no, I love it. Go ahead.
Tell us about some of those. Obviously, you've done some smaller JV deals with your partner there, and you mentioned finding deals. What's been your strategy for picking those types of deals? Did you want to start with smaller deals in your backyard? Did you just send out letters to a bunch of different sizes and just the smaller ones happen to work out? What was your strategy initially going into it?
Right. So it actually started with the boot camp right around when COVID first started. And
Okay.
we had a lot of extra time on our hands because the restaurants were closed down, as you can remember. And so I signed up for the boot camp with Rod. And, it was shortly thereafter, maybe a week after, when we were looking through Craigslist, because on the material, it says, check Craigslist for one of your, to find deals.
Look for deals, right.
And sure enough, we came across the first deal. And prior to that, I had already been kind of working on my miracle morning, kind of like how Elrod says. And I said, okay, why start with 4 if you can start with something bigger? And time again, after listening to your podcast, Rod, I know that one of the things that oftentimes people say is, I wish I would have gone bigger sooner.
Right.
So I kind of kept that in mind. And when this one came up, it was 11 units. And we just kind of, the numbers worked after we negotiated the price, and it just
you started there. How far away is this 11 unit from where you live?
Maybe 5 miles.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, Craigslist. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? I teach this stuff, and it's so awesome to hear that, people take and listen. You just, there is no secret sauce to buying multifamily properties. The blueprint is there. We've got the blueprint. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. And so, you're just doing, what we suggested. I freaking love that. And, even the mailing, like I said, that's a fantastic way. And it does work better with smaller units, and anything under 50 really, I would say is probably the break point, and even maybe less than that now with the pricing having gone where it's gone. But so tell us about that 11 unit. Describe the deal and why it was a great deal.
Yeah. So I feel like the reason that for me it was a great deal is because it's in a part of town, and it's maybe a C property, and with very much room for increased rents, and right off the bat, once we closed on the deal, maybe within a month later, I was able to raise rents $100 because a lot of the tenants were month to month. So we changed them to yearly leases and increased to $100 on each unit.
Wow. And so what size units are they?
So they're a combination of 1 bedrooms and studios. They're about 4 studios and 7 1-bedrooms.
By the way, guys, that $100 increase on a 11 unit property is a $264,000 increase in value. Boom. The day he did it. Okay. This is why we love this business, guys. And that's only on an 11 unit complex. Awesome. In fact, I'll tell you a quick story. We were at my San Antonio asset. Mark, you haven't even heard this. We were at my San Antonio asset. And my property manager inspected all the units because we had to look at the fire extinguishers, make sure they weren't expired, just kind of do like a fire related inspection. Well, while she was walking through our 296 units, she found 64 that had pets that we did not know about. And so every one of those people is paying an extra $20 a month starting in 30 days here. Plus we got a pet deposit, but that $20 a month, how much that increased the value? Like just under $400,000. Okay. That's why we love this business, guys. Okay. Anyway.
And even the 11 unit over $200,000. Show me a single family flip where you're going to get that on average.
$264,000, $250,000. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Love it. Love it. So, what's next? Are you going to go larger? Are you thinking you're going to stick with this, with the size that you're at? Obviously it's working, but what's next for you?
So honestly, Rod, for me, I set my initial goal at 50 units by the time I was 35. I said, you know what, if I can get to 50, I think that would be enough for me. And so to even think that I'm at 69 units currently, it's just mind blowing to me. Right. And I'm grateful for everybody I've had the opportunity to work with and, the partnerships that I formed. So I think for me, it's just now I'm going bigger, just finding the deals, because I do believe that if you find the right deal, the money will find you.
That's right. No, that's absolutely truth. In this market, there's so much money looking for a home, and you use your skill set to find deals. That's the one thing everybody wants right now. So definitely the truth.
So I get this question a lot, Hector, of how do you manage all this with a son, a family, maybe a job, a business, whatever? People ask that a lot. How do you build a business with all that going on? How how did you do all this while having a family and all this other stuff going on?
You know, I have a very, very understanding and very amazing wife. She understands that we're in this together. And that's the reason we're building our real estate portfolio, is to kind of, you know, build that freedom that we want to have together. And so it's difficult. And I'd be lying if I said I have it figured out, right? I'm still learning as I go. And I just, you know, wake up every morning and do the best I can.
Yeah. Are you still working the restaurant too?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So you are up to your eyeballs. Well,
Yes.
you know how I feel about this. Okay. And that is, especially with your little man, that, you know, and I teach this in my boot camps and with you, my warrior, that there's nothing more important than those relationships. I talk about, you know, the greatest regret in my life was working too hard when I was with my kids and being distracted when I was with them. And, you know, so, you know, you just like, I know you're doing this, but you got to throw that phone in the drawer and, you know, even if you're only giving him 30 minutes of your undivided time, you know, totally present for that. And that's such, you know, I don't want anybody that I connect with and touch to ever have the regret that I have. My kids tell you I'm a great dad, but I didn't live up to my own expectations. So let me ask you this, as you were going through this, did you have any aha moments, any moments where you're like, okay, now I get it? And just before, during, after, you know, at any point in this process of yours?
For me, it was during my negotiation for the 11 unit complex, because prior to that, I feel like I battled with my internal self, kind of saying like, well, you're a restaurateur. What makes you think you could do real estate, right? And you're telling yourself all these things and you internalize them, and you just got to learn to make that voice quiet. But what happened in the negotiation of my 11 unit complex is I had invited the owner over to the restaurant during COVID. And
Smart. Love it.
And so he's an older man, and I told him, hey, look, you know, I made the offer at this price. It's not going to work. How do you feel about this price? And then we just negotiated it. And one of my last offers was, I said, okay, how do you feel about this much and the year's worth of tacos? and he just kind of like looked at me and like, who is this kid? And he said, okay, fine, we'll draw it up. And
no kidding.
Yeah.
Well, that's so cool, buddy. And I want to tell you, and I know you learned this in our program, with elderly people like that, bonding is so freaking important. And you connected with this guy. He saw you in your environment. He saw your family. I mean, that just makes all the freaking difference in the world. So good for you. You know, and so let me ask you this. How did you push through that fear? I mean, I know you had the warrior group. You spoke about that a little bit before we got started. Can you elaborate on the support system that you know, talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the warrior group is actually, man, I feel like just surrounding myself with like-minded people. The Facebook group, actually, it's nice to go in there and just see people that are going through struggles similar to the one that you're going through as well. And also victories, right? When you see people that are just posting their victories, and it just really pumps you up to just see that it is possible.
Right. By the way, guys, if you're interested in the Warrior program, to apply, text the word crush to 72345. That's crush to 72345. And you can check us out. We'll check you out and see if it's a fit. But I'm super proud of something, and you may not even know this, Hector. My Warriors, I believe, are close to 55,000 units owned now. And we need to really dig in and see what everybody's got, because we're just that I know of, at least. And so we're going to dig into that, but it's just extraordinary, because I've only been teaching a little over 4 years now. So yeah, I'm really super proud of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I know you talked about some of the struggles, people helping you and motivating you to push through that. What do you think is the most common reason for people failing or giving up before they get to that first deal?
I think a couple of things, you know, and some of that includes analysis paralysis, right? And I found myself kind of caught in that as well. I had taken the courses, I had learned as much as I think I could have learned for the moment being. And at some point you learn all you need, and you just have to take action. And sometimes I feel like roadblocks might come up as well, like just little things, and they let that deter them from proceeding with whatever it is they want to accomplish.
Yeah, I love it. Back to that 11 unit. How did you finance that deal? Just curious. How
So
did you put that together, and where'd the money come from, and so on and so forth? Was it out of pocket, you and your partner? Or did you raise any money, and how did you finance it?
so that one for me was I had refinanced money out of two of my single family houses.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my negotiation, I actually told him, he said he would carry the note amortized over 30 years at a 5% interest and
Wow.
20 and a 20-year balloon. No,
Wow. Wow.
20 year, geez.
Did you accept that and do that?
yes, absolutely.
Oh my God. Fantastic, brother. Fantastic. Good for you, man. And guys, listen, if you come to my boot camp, you'll hear me talk about this. And I'm not sure when this episode will air, but, I've got a virtual boot camp coming up March 12th and 13th. And, if you DM me on any social channel, I'll see that you can get in there for $97 and I don't sell anything there. So it's 16 to 18 hours of training, nothing being sold, kind of a no brainer. You got value, correct, Hector? That was the first thing you did was virtual, right?
It was the best money I ever spent as far as educating myself in this industry.
Thank you, buddy. And so one of the things that I talk about is when you do these mailers, you want to mail people that have owned ideally for a good bit, like 20 years, 10 years minimum. And which is what I'm sure you did, is how you found that deal. And well, you got that one on Craigslist, but when you find somebody that's owned that long, you're going to figure out some things. Number one is they're fully depreciated. So they have no write-offs anymore. So, if they sell, they're going to give 60 or 70 cents on the dollar minimum, probably to Uncle Sam. Also, if they're elderly, they're not going to take that money and put it in another high risk investment. They're risk averse. And so, they're probably going to put it in the bank. And what's the bank paying, right? So you want to have a conversation, something like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I'm going to buy this property for $1 million. And, Uncle Sam takes his chunk, you're going to end up with, say, 700,000 the most. So it could be less than that even. And at 1% at the bank, this is what your payment will be. But now if you work with me, and like in your example, I'll pay you 5%, that payment's 3 or 4 times what they'd get from the bank. And you always have this conversation with an elderly seller. Otherwise, you're not doing them a good service, because it's usually better for them. Like it is for this guy. He just wants the cash flow. And because they only pay taxes on what they receive every year. So it's a fraction of what what they get at the bank is a fraction of what they can get from a seller finance deal. I'm really impressed, brother. You absolutely listened. You took action with what you learned, man. Very impressive to hear all these things that you've done that we teach. So I'm really proud of you, bud. So let me ask you this. I like to ask this question because, a lot of people that haven't taken action yet, I want them to hear it from you, not from me. What words of wisdom would you share with somebody that's an aspiring real estate investor that knows they want more? They see this as a possibility. What would you say to that person?
Honestly, Rod, I would say that it's a quote that says, on the other side of your fear is the life that you do want. And I know sometimes we limit ourselves and we have these limiting beliefs that makes us feel like we can't do what we want. But if we could just overcome that, the temporary struggle to overcome those fears is massive.
Love it.
And just to give people a little bit of context, how long do you think you were like educating or listening for before you started taking action, overcoming that fear? How long did that take you, that process?
Man, I'd say I never stopped learning, right? I'm still even taking courses till this day. But the initial curve, I'd say a solid month. I would wake up and it was when my son was newborn. So I would wake up at 5 a.m. and for the first 2 hours of the day, I would just study, especially from the program provided to in the Warrior Group. So I would take those courses and for a whole month.
Yeah. A month. I like that. And I want to draw quick attention to that real quick, because please. I talk with people every day that tell me, oh my, I've been listening to Rod for a year, for 2 years. And then they tell me, oh, well, I just need to learn a little bit more before I take action. Or I think I just need to go to this or go to that. And Hector comes out and says, I've been listening for a month before I took action.
No, a full month. Like it's a long period of time. Yeah. It took me a whole month to get started. Good God.
That's short,
see, that's
Hector,
his definition
yeah.
of time, though. That's how he
Yeah.
views time. That was too much. He should have got started
Yeah.
sooner. I freaking love that attitude.
Yeah, that's
brother.
why I'm laughing.
That's all. Yeah, me too. If you weren't going to say something, I already jumped in anyway. I was going to jump in.
But for those people listening that have been listening 6 months, a year,
Right.
2 years, whatever, like go out there and just do it. Whether it's us or something else, just get in there. Quit telling yourself the excuses that you need to learn more and get out there and actually just do it and pull the trigger.
Yep. That magnificent life of your dreams is just on the other side of comfort. You know that it is. Every one of you listening knows that. So, so what haven't I asked you? Let's see. When someone is going to get into this business, what do you think are some questions they may want to ask themselves before they get rocking here? Are there any questions you asked yourself, before you got going when you started? Talk about that for a minute, because life is about questions. That we're asking ourselves questions all the time, and the key is to ask quality questions. Like what, not why is this happening to me? You ask how questions instead of why questions. But go ahead.
Right. I think the clearer that you can be on what it is you want, right, on your vision. For example, I had narrowed mine down. I said, okay, on my vision board, I put down that I wanted, 15 units, 15 and 30 units. I wanted it in Albuquerque because that's where, I felt comfortable investing. And of course, there's that financial portion of it where you have to see, well, what can you afford, and if you find something that you can't afford by yourself, who can I partner with to afford it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the big advantages of the Warrior program, just because most of those 50,000 plus units were done between Warriors. Is there anything, I mean, you haven't been at this that long, but if with what you know now, is there anything you might do differently if you went back to when you first started or right before you started?
And if I could, and as cliche as it sounds, it's going bigger, right?
You would have gone bigger too. Okay, you would, totally would. Yeah,
I think so too.
Okay.
I mean, I'm comfortable where I'm at right now, but I feel like if I would have pushed my fear just a little bit more, I could have started with something bigger. Okay.
So I also want to ask you, you're good at finding deals. Why do you think that is? What skills do you have that make you good at that? What do you think? What are driver skills, mindset? Right. What do you think might be causing you to be good at that?
As I'm sure you know, Rod, in the restaurant industry, it's very cutthroat, very tough, right? And a lot of people.
Actually, I did not know that. I didn't know it was cutthroat. No, I didn't. I mean, I wouldn't have. That's not a word I would have used to describe it. So interesting.
Yeah. So, and for me, I feel like a lot of people get very comfortable, with just working 9 to 5, and that's okay if that's what you want for your life. But for me, I'm used to working 7 days a week, working nights, working weekends, and so when people don't want to work on the weekends, or I'll work whenever I can to do whatever it takes until the job gets done. So that includes, if I have to send mailers 1,000 times, then I'll send mailers over and over again. And kind of like in the second deal, even if I don't catch you the first time, I'll get it again and again.
Yeah. Let me add one thing here, Mark. With these mailers, just so you learn this in my boot camp, but it's not a once and done thing. Like he said, you have to mail them every few months because you need to get them when they're motivated, when they have a divorce or a death or I hate to say that, but when they have a life event that you want to get them when they need to sell, not when they might be just quasi thinking about it. Ideally, you want motivation. And so, you've got to be consistent and and we teach you don't have to mail thousands and thousands of letters. You can literally you hone the list down enough. You can do a few hundred. It's just not, it's a significant expense. It's expensive time, but not necessarily money. So just want to enhance that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Another warrior that I saw actually in the group, I thought was ingenious. And I think he got a deal from it as well on the mailers. Just a little golden nugget here is he took, I don't know where he found them, but he got these little tiny miniature bricks. and he put them inside the mailers. It's lumpy mail, I think is what it's called, right?
Yeah.
And so people, they get a piece of like a letter in their mailbox, and they see there's a lump in it, and so they think, oh, what's this? And so they open it, and there was a little brick inside, and it said, looking forward to building a relationship with you.
That's awesome.
And so that was just a small little thing that you could take and use. I don't know where he got the bricks, but you could probably find it online.
Oh yeah, you can find that stuff.
Great little tip there.
Yeah, there's little, oh God, what's the name of that website? It's got all that little crap in it. Oh gosh, darn it. I'm drawing a blank. There's a website that has all that stuff in it. But that'd be great for broker relationships and property manager relationships. I'm not so, for owners, I think, you send an invitation envelope, it always gets opened. I don't care what's in it. If somebody looks like you're getting invited to something that's handwritten, I promise you they'll open it with a stamp, always open, different colors. Postcards, you just change it up and use your imagination. And, we teach some ninja tricks there as well that I'm not going to say on the podcast. You're gonna have to come to the boot camp for those. But, the average, and by the way, again, it's $97 freaking dollars if you DM me. Just, if you have any interest in this business, you need to be there, period. It's all virtual. You can do it in your underwear and I've never had a complaint. That's a lie. The only complaint I ever get is that the breaks are too short. So, if you have any interest, text Rod to 72345 and then DM me and I'll give you the code, but that's the website. It's multifamilyvirtualbootcamp.com. And again, if you're interested in the Warrior program, text CRUSH to 72345 to apply. What you mentioned a quote, and I love quotes. And so are there any other quotes that you really love? And also talk about where you think you get your drive from. So start with the quotes, and then I want to hear where you think you get your drive from.
Absolutely. So for me, I think one of my favorite quotes is, it's a poem, but it's, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest that we are powerful beyond measure. And it's that whole poem, and it's just
that's Marianne Williamson's famous thing. It's beautiful, guys. Google that. I actually say it at my 3-day boot camp. I actually read the whole thing out because it's such an incredible message. Love it, brother. Love it. So where's the drive coming from, buddy?
The drive. I think I attribute a lot of the drive to my parents. Honestly, and like I said before, they are Mexican immigrants, and in the restaurant industry, that's kind of what I saw growing up my whole life. Not that they never failed, but I saw them knocked down a couple times, but they always got up and always persisted and were just very amazing. And I think something worth mentioning is that for them, and what I got to see is that even though they didn't speak the language when they first came into the United States, they let their work do their talking for them. Right. And that's why, if you're going to clean a table, you clean it to the best of your ability. Whatever it is you want to do, you do it to the best because your work speaks for you.
Oh, what an awesome message. Hector, what a treat this has been. So great to see you. So freaking proud of what you've accomplished already. Keep it going. And I don't know if you're going to be able to make it to the Warrior event we're having, probably not with the restaurant business. We're having our Warrior only event coming up April 1st and 2nd. But it is great to see you, my friend, and keep up the good work. And I'm sure we'll talk soon, buddy.
Thank you guys very much.
All right, Mark, I'll see you later, buddy. Thanks.
Rod, I know a lot of our listeners are wanting to take their multifamily investing business to the next level. Now, I know you've been hard at work helping our Warrior students do just that using our ACT methodology, which is awareness, close, and transform. Can you explain to the listeners how they can get our help?
You bet. Guys, we've been going nonstop for 3 years, building an amazing community of like-minded people. And our coaching students, which we call our Warriors, have had extraordinary results. They've purchased thousands and thousands of units. And last year, we did over 1,000 units with our students. And we're looking to grow this group and take it to the next level. We're looking for people who want to follow a proven framework that's really step by step and then leverage our systems and network to raise equity, to find and close deals, and to build partnerships nationwide. Now, our warrior community is finding success in any market cycle. So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become more of our incredible network and take advantage of the incredible opportunities that are coming very soon, apply to work with us at mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 72345 and we'll set up a call so you can check us out and we can check you out. That's mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 72345.